Welcome to the presentation on Tips to Build a Compelling Online Process Training Program. Before we get into the technicalities, let's refresh our knowledge about processes. Processes may be defined as the description of how things work. They can be classified into two: business processes and technical processes. Business processes include sales process, HR process, and accounting process. Technical processes could be any manufacturing process, quality control process, or supply chain process. Processes involve a set of activities that need to be performed in a particular order. Individuals will need to apply this knowledge when performing their tasks. Processes could also be a description of the different stages involved in an activity. Individuals might just have to remember the process as background information. Process training is the key for performing standardized operations and for achieving quality output. Taking cues from Ruth Clark's book, Developing Technical Training, let's look at some of the instructional aids that can be used to teach processes in an online training program. In this presentation, we will look into process tables, process flow diagrams, animated diagrams, zoom-ins, hotspots, scrollable text, and simulations. Process table is a basic instructional tool used to explain processes. We can use process tables when each stage of the process has steps, actions, and responsibilities. Take a simple example of photosynthesis. In textual format, the definition of photosynthesis seems complicated to understand and difficult to remember. However, when depicted using a process table, it is much easier to understand the process and remember the concept. Process flow diagrams can be used for processes that have defined start and stop stages with intermittent steps. It also describes the process in greater detail, as seen in the diagram. Here, while explaining the concept of photosynthesis, the information and role of chloroplasts and stomata are also added. Traditionally, tables and flowcharts have been used as common teaching aids to explain processes, particularly in a classroom environment. However, thanks to technological options, there are other effective methods that can be used to explain processes in an online learning environment. Let's review some of them. Graphics is another tool that helps enhance the visual appeal of a process. In this visual, simple graphics have been used with vibrant colors to explain the photosynthesis process. Quite obviously, it is effective in capturing the attention of the learner. Add animations to the same graphic, and it becomes even more lively and effective. Animated diagrams are particularly useful when explaining complex processes employed in the manufacturing industry. Take a look at this diagram on the screen that explains the oil refining process followed in an oil refinery. It explains the typical flow diagram that depicts a crude oil distillation unit. It is rather difficult to understand what goes on in the process easily, just by looking at the diagram. However, if animations are used to explain the process showing the steps sequentially, chances are that the learner comprehends the process better. When using animations is not possible, you could use a still image, and include a scrollable text at the bottom, to explain the different stages. This ensures learners are not hurried and can take their own time to comprehend the subject matter according to their pace. Transformation visuals will come in handy to show the steps involved in doing a task, such as the case when we need to explain assembling a piece of machinery. Similarly, transformation visuals can be used effectively when we have to demonstrate the working of a product across various stages. We can use hotspots to explain parts of machinery and their functions. Every important part of the machinery can have a flashing spot. On clicking, a description of the part or its importance can be displayed. This is very useful during product training for service engineers or technicians. Zoom in is another feature that can be used to highlight the process within a process. We can show details of a process visually by zooming in on a small layer of the process, while retaining the big picture. In the example on the screen, you can see the description of what happens in lower airways within the respiratory process. Simulations are useful when you need to explain multiple steps in a process. It helps employees understand clearly the steps to be performed in each stage of a process sequentially. Let's quickly recap what we have seen so far. The tools that work well to explain processes are process tables, process flow diagrams, graphics, scrollable text, transformational visuals, animations, hotspots, zoom-ins or simulations. Depending on the content type and learning objective, one or a combination of these tools can be effectively used to explain processes. To read articles on similar topics, please visit blog.com labindia.com. Thank you.